Okay, Tower of Fantasy in 2023, the critical state.
Let me preface this by stating that Tower of Fantasy is not a bad game. On the contrary, at its core, it's actually a very fun, very beautiful MMO. But it is grossly mishandled. It has seen hackers repeatedly exploit issues that were known to be present in the Chinese version, and time gates progression, all of which have severely inhibited its success.
I haven't been back there in a while, though.
Its growth. While no game is perfect, despite some people believing that their game is, the vast majority of video games, and even more specifically, gacha games see a decline in terms of active players and revenue. Case in point, Path to Nowhere, which is regarded as one of 2022's biggest hits, earned $7 million globally in its first month. In its second month, it made $3 million. That is a 57% drop in revenue over 30 days. How is Tower of Fantasy doing comparatively? We'll take a look at that weekend. Tower of Fantasy released globally on August 10, 2022. It had one of the largest launches of the year, with millions of players lining up to get in the game and to try it out. In its month of release, Tower of Fantasy saw millions of new downloads. Player activity was off the charts. Social media was overrun with players sharing screenshots, their thoughts, their opinions, and ultimately was one of the
but like that's what any game, like if your game, as soon as your game comes out, a lot of people just rush to your game. That's like it's like a fighting game. Like the best time to play a fighting game ever is always when it first starts. Like the first 3 days is pretty much probably like the gold standard for like any fighting game. And then you get like you start like the week or 4 weeks, people start declining and all that other stuff, and then you get your like the massive fan that stays with it, or the tryhards.
Trending topics across Twitter for several days. That first month, which comprised a little over 2 weeks, the game managed to accumulate $34 million in total revenue across Android and iOS devices. And according to sources, not only do a large number of players active play via and also spend via their phones, but Japan makes up well over 40% of all revenue generated. $34 million is a massive opening for a gacha game. There was only one other release this year that could compete with the success that Tower of Fantasy saw, Nikke, which also managed to earn more than Genshin did globally in its month of release, an achievement that no other gacha can really claim in recent memory. September came around and saw a decrease from $34 million down to $24 million in revenue. That's just shy of a 30% drop, and admittedly, a much better ratio than was seen in Path to Nowhere. Unfortunately, concurrent and monthly active players for September weren't tracked, so it's unconfirmed how significant or insignificant the player base drop was. October was where things really got interesting, though. October saw the release of their first major update, 2.0, which was touted by many players on Discord and Reddit as the patch that would save the game. Also seeing the title launch on Steam. What we saw, however,
I feel like that's I feel like that's kind of weird to say. Like an update will save the game. No, your game can be good, and just that, like why a patch save the game? Like I said, only hackers like I said, hackers and other stuff like bugs that actually messes up the halting the system or something like that. That's the only time you want stuff to save. Like any like bug, like for instance, like Fortnite had like a bug that maybe cut off your you shoot and you won't hit bullets, or you don't have like a HUD or something like that, so you can't see where you're shooting from, something like that. If that's like a bug like that, then that, of course that needs to fix. They need to fix that ASAP. But saved your game
was a decrease from $24 million to $6 million in revenue. While a 30% drop in its first month is relatively insignificant,
like games always going to decline no matter what.
75% decrease.
Every gamer wants to play their newest game. That's usually how it goes.
This month was also the first month where player statistics were tracked, showing a total of 613,000 active players.
There's still people that still play KI 13. People are, oh man, that ain't gonna be dead. Yeah, any game can be that dead, but that if your game is good, people will come back to your game. That's how fighting, like, fighting games or any game goes. If your game is good, it will come back. But if you got a live service game and your service goes off,
logging in over the course of the month of October, from upwards of 5 million players to 600,000 over a month and a half is quite a substantial decline in activity, but players were likely just expecting something different from the game, resulting in a mass exodus of interested players.
I don't think it's just expected. I think people just want more content. That's really where all it comes down to. If you have like a live service game that requires to be always online, you have to keep putting out content. That's just how it goes. If you got a regular single player game, you don't have to put out like content every damn day or week or so, or you wait like 3 months or 6 months down the road or something like that. Like Final Fantasy Integrate or something like that. You can wait for that content to come out because you got a live service. But when you become a live service game, you have to literally almost put out content every damn day or week or month. It has to be something that fans can attach to because it's a live service. Live.
December saw the introduction of patch 2.1, including a fan favorite character, Lyn. Given the introduction of an entirely new area and character, there should have been a sizable increase in earnings, right? And honestly, that really wasn't the case. What we saw was instead an increase from $6 million to $8 million in revenue. That was a 33% increase, which sounds impressive, but given patch 2.0, 2.1, and Lyn all released within several weeks of one another, you'd have thought that players would be spending more. November also saw a decline
that's supposed to work. That's supposed to work almost into your benefit, almost
from 610,000 to 460,000.
If you put that update was bad,
150,000 tracked players just up and vanishing over the course of a month. Even after all of the aforementioned updates, which really should have been motivation for them to
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It should have been motivation. If you put out like I said, if you gotta keep putting out content. But if your contents are shit, well, you're going to see a decrease.
And at least try them out. December, a month that saw an increase in earnings for Genshin Impact, Uma Musume Raid Shadow Legends, the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, Blue Archive, and a plethora. I
swear Raid Shadow Legends is everywhere. Literally, you cannot escape an ad from Raid Shadow Legends. Like, for holy shit.
Of other games, all of which I covered in my video yesterday if you want to check that out, left Tower Fantasy seeing yet another decline in total earnings to an all-time low of $5 million.
And why is that? It's probably because they put out better content. That's probably why. You put out better content, or like I said, gamers will flock to the next big thing or next content update for their games. Usually that's how it goes.
That is a 37% drop. This is with the introduction of patch 2.2 on December 22nd, the Nemesis rerun event on the 15th through the 26th, another new character in the form of Tianlong. We also saw a decline in terms of active players from 460,000 in November to 270,000 in December. A drop from 5 million to 200,000 in 4 months is an unfathomable exodus of players and is the most critical the player base has ever been. Regardless of whether you're a blind hater of the game and want nothing other than its failure, or an unfaltering ardent defender of it, you cannot argue that this is beyond alarming for the game if it continues on this trajectory. Tower of Fantasy,
like I said, put out bad content, you can't will not sustain itself. You can't sustain itself.
A fun game. It might be a gorgeous game, but it is headed into 2023 in the worst state that it has ever been in. It has seen a decrease of 95% in terms of players and a decline to the amount of 85% in terms of monthly revenue. This is over 4 months only. Where will it be 6 months from now? This game is headed in one direction, and that is an undeniable certainty. How long it takes to get there is the only question on our minds. I don't think that the game is really going to see much in the way of additional growth in the future, despite what active players want for the game, which is a shame because this game could have been great. Could have being the keywords here. Now, If Tower Fantasy isn't your thing, don't worry, I got you covered with 2 videos on screen right now. One featuring a list of every confirmed gacha releasing this month.
Alright. Tower Fantasy. Yeah. So they declining. Just like any other company, I would say. Like once you're a live service game, you have to keep putting out content. You just can't stop. It has to keep going, and hopefully you put out good content. And of course, your competition will also be putting out good content. So y'all be fighting for, people's eyeballs and everything like that. But I always save it up to anything. Like, the more games come out, the less people play your game. And if your game is good, they come back and they'll spend money, they'll do whatever and play your game, just like a fighting game. It's like people, like pretty much when I was playing KI, it was like literally the same thing. It was like, oh, KI was, pretty great. Like first season, second season. I came around the second season of KI because it was like, oh, it's free, blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff. And I played the first time and I got hooked, and I was like, oh yeah, this brought back in the KI memories and all that stuff back in the 90s and arcades and all that good shit. I used to love playing that shit in arcades. But yeah. After a while you playing that, season 3 drops. They changed some stuff. They changed a lot of things. They added some characters to the game. And you're just like, okay, where's the next big update? Okay, we had a story? Okay, we had some little event things for a story, which is nice for KI, because KI kind of started the DLC for characters and stuff you can buy like that. And kind of like a season pass a little bit. The seasons, they call it seasons in KI, season 1, season 2, and all that stuff. But it's like a big update for that. There's no paywall unless you want like a regular character. It's because you can like choose what character you want to buy. But anyway, yeah, people was waiting like, okay, KI is like at its end of its cycle, and a lot of fans like me was like, okay, when are we gonna get some more new characters? Oh, the company that runs it, they done after this season? There's no season 4? Okay, there's no season 4. So are we making a KI 2? Anything? Nope, nothing. KI 2. And then, people still love playing the game. It's just that, oh, look, Tekken coming out. Oh, look, Capcom. It just kept other fighting games start being priority, and you keep playing those games because, well, guess why? It's the newest thing. So guess what gamers are going to do? Flock to the newest thing, and your game just falls off. But it could be good, but a lot of people won't be playing it again. So yeah, I just leave it like that. That's how I keep it. But there you go. Tower Fantasy, critical state right now. Yep, they have to do something. You got to keep putting out the content, and if you don't, the game dies.